Hello everyone. This is my entry into the Snowbird contest, and I thought it looked kind of like a goose. So I told my son-in-law it looked like a blue goose, and he said, "That's no goose." So we decided to call it That's No Goose. Anyway, this plane has 60-inch wingspan, which is 3 sections of 20-inch wing panels. And then the tail is an 18-inch wide, is also a lifting surface, an arm and wing. Both of them have a 6.5-inch cord with about a 2-inch control surface. The fuselage is main fuselage is 30 inches long. And then there's a nose, which is about another 12 inches long, which is removable. It's the battery compartment. You can see here this slides out. So the main part of the fuselage is 30 inches long, and you can see that it's a double tube. The outer tube has a side that's 2.4 inches. The inner tube has a side of 2 inches, and then the slide-in nose piece, the connecting piece, has a side of 1.6 inches. The reason I made a double tube was because this is the second version of this plane. The first time I crashed and the fuselage cracked in half right where the hatch was, so I wanted to make it stronger this time around. This plane was designed for FPV as a mission, and the nose piece here is, on this one, is the battery compartment. The batteries fit right in here. I'm using 3S, 2 batteries that are 2650 milliamps. They fit in there very nicely and balance the plane properly. But this was also designed to fit other noses on there for other purposes, such as carrying a GoPro or a board camera or something like that. Okay, for motors I'm using NTM 3536 1400 kV motors with 9.6 counter rotating props, and then the speed controls are Turnigy Deluxe 55 amp controls. I just got them taped to the wing. These motors pull 35 amps at full throttle, so that's somewhere in the vicinity of about 800 amps, or 800 watts, full power. The plane came out at 4 pounds, so that's potentially 200 watts per pound at takeoff. Most of the time I flew around at 1/3 to 1/2 throttle. Here's the rear of the plane. The elevator servo is in the back of the fuselage, a 9-gram servo. And then I have, for vertical stabilizers, a couple of pieces of 4mm coroplast that are glued on. There's no rudders on this plane, so I was concerned about not having any ground control. The field I fly at only has a little bit of snow left. There's a strip about 20 feet wide in east-west direction. I was concerned if there was any kind of crosswind I wouldn't be able to control it. So what I did was I mixed the rudder channel with the motors, so I get actually differential thrust using the rudder stick. Okay, the motor module and ski group here is it's a removable module that's held on by a piece of tape and by 4 rubber bands, and there's a piece of coroplast that's in the center of the strut that goes down to the ski, and the main spar goes through that, and then both halves of the wing rest on the motor pod. Now I'll show you the motor pod in just a second. Here's the plane completely disassembled, and you can see there's one carbon spar that it's removable, goes through the main wing section there, and then it sticks in 10 inches into the outer wing panels. I'm using 11-gram servos on the ailerons and 9-gram servo on the elevator. Here's one of the motor modules. The motor mount is a tube, fiber foam board tube, 1.5 inches on a side, with 1/4 inch plywood firewall, motors held on by 4 servo screws, and then the wing attachment is with 2 1/4 inch dowels. The ski or pontoon is a double arm-in wing with 2 arm-in wings back to back to make a symmetrical foil, and then the strut is also foam board. It's 2 layers of foam board folded around the front and the back and joined in the middle here, and then it has a piece of 4mm coroplast inside just for some extra strength. I found that two thicknesses of the foam board weren't quite strong enough, plus I needed something that could interface to the spar up above there, so that's pretty much how it works. And you'll see in the video that even in a really hard landing, this held up very well. These arm and wings are kind of a hybrid. Rather than putting in the normal foam board spar strips, I was experimenting around with possibly doing different kinds of airfoils, semi-symmetrical, full symmetrical, possibly undercambered. And one way to do that is to cut a hot wire foam insert that goes inside the board, inside the foam board, to shape it to the shape that you want. So on this particular one, I did not remove the paper at all on the bottom, but on the top part of the airfoil I removed all the paper so it would curve completely. And it was very easy to make this. I just put Gorilla Glue on both sides of the foam insert, closed it up, put the saddle, which is the opposite part. When you foam cut the airfoil, it's the part that you don't use. I call that the saddle. I put that on top of the airfoil and then with some weights, and it bonded to the entire surface perfectly, and also is noticeably stronger than a normal arm and wing. So I want to explore this further. I was thinking of making a really large flying wing this summer with a semi-symmetrical foil with this type of wing construction. This plane flies very smooth and steady, which is what you want for FPV, but it's also capable of tight maneuvering. Here I'm flying 100-foot diameter circles. Then there's the whole issue of differential thrust. I'm sure you could do some crazy maneuvering with that. Well, that's about it for that Snow Goose 2. Good luck to all the contestants, and thanks, Ed, for all those great building techniques.